Stay in Wonderland.
Question that got me.
And I showed you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
It's the question that got me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
got
showed
me.
you how deep the rabbit hole goes. I didn't say it would be easy.
Question that got me.
The rabbit hole.
Welcome, everyone. I'm John Fogel. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole. I'm sitting here with my bro, James Sweet.
How you doing?
And excited to be here. Want to open the show up here with a quick little piece. A really close friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, lost his father yesterday. And so I want to say a little piece for him and his family. And this individual, his father, was a special guy. He meant a lot to a great many people, and he impacted my life in his own way. And it was an absolute honor and privilege to have known him. His name was Delmer Gene Alloway, born 4/13/35, died 8/17/13. He was 78. He's survived by his wife Jackie, daughter Judy, and son Steve. And he's going to be dearly missed. And I just wanted to throw that out there. We're all thinking of you guys, and you have our deepest condolences and sympathies here at the Rabbit Hole and KouvRadio. That being said, how you doing, James?
I'm doing good, other than I had sort of a bummer evening coming in. I went through the drive-thru trying to get my fancy smoothie. And, of course, I leave my wallet at home, so I was smoothie-less tonight.
Bummer.
Yeah, pretty much. Kind
You know what?
of a downer on the way in, you know.
Your wallet maybe even saved your life. Just leave it that way. It may have saved your life. You don't want to be eating that McDonald's.
That's right.
So,
but the smoothies are good for you. I saw a show on that.
See, there's fruit in the smoothie.
right, fruit smoothie. At least it doesn't say, fruit flavored.
Yeah, they use real fruit.
Like the McRibs. Rib-shaped food.
That's right.
Rib-shaped with barbecue sauce.
But other than that, I'm doing good. Ready to rock here.
Good. Today is August 18th, 2013. Now, we're living in some interesting times right now, and I'll tell you why. As the creepy music keys up
I love
in
the
the
creepy
background.
music.
And, it makes me want to look over my shoulder the whole time.
Especially down here in the morgue.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, we are actually transmitting from a former morgue.
Something just kicked me.
Well, Wayne, quit doing that.
That's the table.
Interesting times. Now, James, you and I have talked about this from time to time, and I find it a very interesting subject on the drones, the United States Predator drones.
Well, not only that, there's so many different drone projects out there to discuss. They're...
I didn't do that. Sorry.
We're going to have to tie Wayne up here. We have a
I'm not touching anything.
out-of-control producer.
No, seriously, I'm not touching anything. Look at this. Watch.
Oh, boy.
Stop it.
All right.
Sorry.
But,
Okay, I turned off my... I don't know why I was doing that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
no, a friend of mine, actually, we were doing a little Skywatch a couple of weeks ago, and we saw something. It was moving pretty fast, and it had looked to be like some red and green LED lights.
So it had the FAA lights on it.
Well, it didn't look like your typical FAA lights.
Smaller?
Yeah, it was a smaller object, and it was moving real fast, faster than any plane coming in, faster than a helicopter, and it didn't have any sound that we could hear. So we thought it might be a drone. And I know there's a lot of camera drones out there these days for like the GoPro camera,
Right.
which we have seen flying around, which they do have GPS. So a lot of times you'll see these things darting off and hovering over certain areas, and they can be deceiving how they look, but they always go back to a home point because of the GPS. So those are, usually a way to tell. Those are like your typical camera drone.
Right.
Do you see those at night, though?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, somebody likes to play with them at night, I think, and either do some shots of whatever, or just because these camera drones that you can operate through your iPhone.
Yep.
They do have the LEDs on them, so, obviously those are fun toys at night, I would think.
Well, here's a part of the justification process for you listeners out there is what they're saying is that for law enforcement, they're talking about, helicopters. They need a helicopter, so they need an eye in the sky, right? Well, helicopter, on average, it costs about $25 million, okay, for one chopper. Then you're not even considering the pilot at that point in time. The drone cost is like a small fraction of that. For these UAVs, these unmanned aerial vehicles. Obama signed a bill directing the FAA to open further airspace for public and private use back in 2011. These permits are called COAs, or Certificate of Authorization. There are 327 COAs active as of February 2013. So 197 drones in 2011, and they want to get up another 105 bases by 2015. That's 105 bases. Now, let's think about that for a second. Why? You know what I mean? Why are we not hiring more officers? This is one of those things that pisses me off almost as much as like radar photo shots. Cause I'm a victim.
Or red light photo.
One of those, yeah, red light photos. I think it's crap. If you don't have a manned position, I don't think that should be happening.
Right.
So there are types of drones. Some of these drones can be as small as a mosquito, and others are large hovering UAVs. They have the ability to sit there and hover almost indefinitely.
Well,
as they observe, they got thermal imaging, the infrared, FLIR.
The DARPA's created a 1.8 gigapixel drone camera, which can see 15 square miles.
Right.
They have the ability to see you waving from 15,000 feet away. They have the computer capabilities to window up to 65 different things at once to view what's going on within that one frame.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty high-tech system they got going on.
It's really disturbing. I understand surveillance. There's a time and a place for it, but these are being flown over the United States, over the civilian population. And I'll give you a brief history on this. I know this, listeners, I know this isn't real paranormal stuff, but I think it's going to lead to that. I think that it's a tentacle on the octopus, if you will. March 6th, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder refused to rule out the use of armed drones over United States soil. If that doesn't disturb you, I don't know what will. That puts a chill right up my spine.
Well, I think it's important, too, as far as the paranormal aspect, because we have to start discerning sightings that we see from, obviously, instantly branding them as, when we say UFO, alien craft.
Right.
We got to, really take a look at what it is that we're seeing, because a lot of the stuff out there is probably black military projects.
Right. And I don't recall exactly what the black budget is for the United States military, but it's well into the trillions on an annual basis. Now, this isn't a 10-year or 5-year budget. This is annual, our taxpayer money going to these black budget
so we're paying to be spied on.
Basically, and we didn't have any say.
Basically, it's the big bully kicking you in the nuts and taking your milk money.
Right. Exactly, and saying, what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that, it's the wave of the future, folks. Let's face it. We are being looked at. These things have the ability to see you sleeping in your bed through your roof at night. You'll have no idea they're there. Now, I can understand there being extenuating circumstances that are going to, where it would justification. The justification is there. You have a terrorist cell operating there. I'm okay with that if it's under military jurisdiction on a military homeland operation. I get that. I understand that. But who's to say? What happens with people in positions of power? They abuse it.
Well, the thing is when we deploy these types of things, everybody is the enemy on our own soil. When you're using them to be the police force anymore,
right?
Robotics seems to be the wave of the future for enforcement, control.
I don't know, it was 8 months ago, there was a kid that was abducted by somebody and was held in a bunker for a couple weeks on the guy's property. Did you guys hear about that? Do you remember that? They used a drone to basically see into that bunker, using heat signatures.
Well, they've used drone technology. I believe the first time they did was 2011 in South Dakota. There was an incident where there was kind of a standoff situation between local law enforcement, federal law enforcement as well, though, actually, and some farmers. And with the Predator-type drone, they were able to discern that the farmers' boys were not armed. Therefore, there wasn't a conflict that resulted in anyone's injury or death, and that's but that's the justification process.
Right.
They're trying to lay us down softly and say, okay, see what good it did.
Right.
It's just a matter of time before we have some
misuse
kind of
it.
Yeah, a tragedy, some kind of tragedy. Now, it's one thing to use these Predator drones for surveillance and intel gathering and that kind of thing, but it's a whole other story when you're putting armed drones up in the air over U.S. soil.
And randomly using it.
Yeah, I can understand, again, over sensitive military installations, Area 51, S4, these types of places, Montauk, where they have chemical and biological laboratories. We need to keep those safe. I understand that. But there's no reason for one of those to be flying over Vancouver, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Salem, Oregon, Seattle, Washington. It doesn't make much sense to me then.
Well, if any of our listeners are out there, you can give us a call, 360-977-LIVE. It's 360-977-5483. If you've seen any drones flying around the Portland, Vancouver area, tell us your story.
Well, and you should definitely see them, at least in Stevenson and the Dalles area up there. There's 5 laboratories for new drones. Military drone and civilian drone, actually, is what they're going for. But there's 5 different laboratories on the Washington side. The Columbia Gorge is one of the best places in the world to train pilots and test new equipment.
Right, which we have a interesting story of, I guess, a Polish, I'm not sure what his qualification was, but it was part of the drone program, and I guess he was found dead on Mount Hood. I don't know if it's a climbing accident.
Oh, yeah,
or
just a couple weeks, last week or something.
Yeah, it was recent. But so it does happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Polish military officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys heard of Deer Trail, Colorado?
Yes.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
No?
I have not.
Okay.
No.
They are considering issuing a novel kind of hunting permit. If it passes, the town will give residents licenses to kill drones.
Right. That's a slippery slope right there, too. I agree with it. I'm okay with it, but you start taking down... Because here's the thing, folks, if you don't know this, airspace is the government's. I don't care if it's directly over your property. You could own 100 square miles like a great uncle of mine in Montana owned, but it doesn't matter. Airspace is theirs.
Yep.
It is theirs. So they can do whatever the hell they want above you, like it or not. And that bothers me too.
True.
That bothers me too. Well, let's get back into the paranormal realm of things, because that's what we do here at the Rabbit Hole on KouvRadio. So UFO sightings have really ramped up lately. It seems like 2013 has been particularly active. And we're getting a lot more activity over military installations, not so much American, because they always want to sweep that under the rug, but we get these information from the people who have disclosed information, the French, the Germans, even the Russians have opened up their books to us.
Even the Canadians.
Right, and the Canadians. They were one of the first. Them and the French were the first. I believe it was 2008, 2006. They opened everything up and said, here it is. You've got retired brigadier generals in these countries talking about it openly. And these are people who have a lot at stake, and everything that they do is about credibility and reputation, and they're stepping forward. And, you know, I commend them for it. I think it's brave of them to do that. I've got one here. This recent one was over an Indian Army base in Ladakh. I hope I'm saying that right. They had a bunch of sightings about almost a year ago. Well, I don't know. This is weird because they're kind of an intelligent country. They're not totally third world. They got some bright people working there, and it turned out to be Mars and Jupiter. All right, I know it's funny, but here's the thing: there's new reports that began early this month, October, and then on October 4th, there were UFO type objects that were found to be in the area, and this is the confusion. Now, this kind of gets it back into the drone thing. China is talking about how they're witnessing an alarming increase in UFO activity in the recent months, but there are many people in the Indian intelligence agencies that believe that these may even be Chinese drones. I don't know how many of you know this, but India and China do not get along very well. So, you know, we're back kind of on the drone thing. What do you think of that, James? What do you think of the possibilities of that is?
Very highly.
That they're drones and not extraterrestrial.
I think if we can build them, so can they.
Right. Exactly. In the past year, in the Indian Army, over 100 separate instances have been reported by Indian Army personnel. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. Indian airspace is pretty highly protected. They've got cutting-edge technology as well. They have the same resources we do when it comes to aerial identification of aircraft. And, I mean, they can tell the difference between a hot air balloon, a weather balloon, and a jet.
Well, what do you mean? They couldn't do that at Roswell.
Right. Captain Jesse Marcel, a trained aviator and captain of the Air Force, he didn't know the difference between a disc and a hot air balloon. Isn't that funny?
Well, I mean, crash test dummies that I don't think were in use at the time look a lot like small aliens.
Not till the 60s.
Right.
You're right. But 1947 in July, they were.
Oops.
Right. Ah, crap. They caught us again. Back to the drawing board, Gary. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's funny because they, it's funny and sad. People, you know, okay, I go off on a tangent a lot of times because I think people are stupid. You know, I mean, I'm just being honest, man. You know, I can be stupid too. I'm just saying. But people aren't that stupid. You know what I mean? Even the layman can tell the difference between an aircraft that they usually see and one they do not see. That one that can go in big, sharp turns that kind of arc around. You can hear the aircraft, and those that make 90-degree turns without even slowing down.
Right.
You know,
I mean, there's times when you see things that get a little confusing, and especially if you go into looking at something and putting something in your mind as far as what you're seeing already. Then you're, what is that?
Right.
What is it?
The power of suggestion.
Right.
You know, for instance, we've talked about this a lot, and actually this has happened recently in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, there's been numerous recent sightings of red, orange, or white UFOs. They appear, and they just kind of drift around for a while, and then all of a sudden they just disappear. They don't shoot off in any particular direction. They just disappear. Chinese lantern. I mean, you know what I mean? If it's not doing something that conventional aircraft can't do, you know what I mean? If it's not doing something crazy and out of this world, it probably can be explained.
Yeah, I mean, that could very well be true. I mean, I've seen video footage posted on YouTube, you know, and that you got to really question that stuff because there's so much phony baloney out there that,
right.
You know, not everything is bad, but there's a lot that, you know, is just horseshit.
Right. Well, one of the things I always refer back to is the Haiti sighting back in 2008, the Haiti sighting. You folks at home can YouTube this right now, and it was so well done. God, it was just like, it's the Holy Grail. You know, we were thinking, this is it right here, man. But it turned out this guy from France
comes forward and he's like, I have this program and this is what I did with it. And it's
Right.
like it's such a buzzkill.
Well, I mean, there's so many things, computer-wise that we can do now. View 6.
You can do it on a cell phone now. Yeah. These programs, you can download these apps on a cell phone.
Some of them are kind of cheese, and you can tell the cheese. But there's some talented people out there who can.
Right.
I mean, these people are in, countries overseas. It's not just us Americans with our Macs and
right.
Fancy computers. These kids are pretty smart and they know how to do this stuff.
Right. So, it's anybody out there, if you got any information or if you've got some footage, we would love to see it here at the Rabbit Hole here at KouvRadio. Send it to us. Give us a call, 360-977-5483, 360-977-LIVE. Give us a call. Share your story with us. We want to hear your story and present it to the world on a good platform. We got a great platform here at KouvRadio.
And if you have anything to send, you can always email it to us at deepintotherabbithole@gmail.com.
Right. And you can also find that, give them the info on the Facebook site, James.
Yes, you can go to www.facebook.com/deepintotherabbithole.
Bring it there. Tell your friends. We're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some other paranormal stuff, and we're going to get into some Bigfoot for all you Bigfoot fans out there. So stand by, and we will be right back with you.
Peace.
You're in pain, you're the victim, now they will pay, cast down, once again,
take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland.
Question that brought me.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole
It's
goes.
the question that brought me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
brought
show
me.
you how deep the rabbit hole goes. I didn't say it would be easy.
It's the question that brought me.
The rabbit hole.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole. Glad to have you here. We're going to play a little something for you guys. Now, just listen closely, and when it's done playing, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it because this was something that was just crazy. Here it is.
Are you fucking kidding me? Take days time. This doesn't even make sense.
All right. I know. Sorry about the colorful language there, folks, for some of you lily livers out there, but that was a crazy experience. Now, what that was James and I, when we did the Rabbit Hole on another network, we were getting hold of a world-renowned guest. His name is Stan Romanek, and we tried 5 different methods of trying to get a hold of this guy, and every single one of them failed in a different way.
It was strange.
It was super strange. He and I had a couple of communication hiccups over the preceding days to that, but this is just a testament to the strangeness that is every day in his life. He's gotten used to it. However, we were not. We kind of knew we were jumping into the rabbit hole, if you will, with him, but not to this extent. In 2012, at the time, when you try to get a hold of somebody on a cell phone, you don't get a busy signal.
Not like that.
No.
Not like your old rotary type phones and
Right.
like the person at the boards trying to
plug in
all the different wires.
Sorry, sir, I'm trying to get you going here.
It's busy.
Right. So after that, we tried landlines, and we got the doo-doo-doo, we're sorry. We tried to email him. The emails would not go out. They wouldn't go anywhere. It didn't work. What were the other methods we tried? Every single thing we did, we got stymied.
We tried smoke signal.
Right.
We tried
satellite.
spoons.
Right. We tried every method of communication known to man, and none of them worked. And he wasn't surprised at all when we finally got him on. He's like, "Hey guys,
It happens.
Welcome to my life." Crazy.
Well, and that being said, it's funny that so many people want to, trash his credibility about his story, and if it was that much of a hoax or BS, why would they go to such lengths to mess with the guy?
Right.
I don't see the point.
Right. He had people walking up to him in the street, telling him things that only he and his wife knew, and unless they had listening devices, which they did, they regularly to this day still have to debug their home and run security sweeps and that kind of thing throughout their house. It's incredible. It's an incredible story. It was a fantastic interview, and we will have him on here for you here at the RabbitHole on KouvRadio.com for sure. His wife Lisa also has a really interesting story to tell, because it's nice to get a perspective from somebody who, pun intended, is on the other side of the bed. That's the title of her book that she wrote.
Right.
Because abductees, and that's what Stan Romanek is. He is the world's most documented case of alien UFO abduction in the history of ufology. So it's an interesting story. I mean, this guy has documentation upon documentation. Look him up on the internet. Look him up on YouTube, and it's very, very, very compelling stuff. And James and I don't buy into every single thing out there. We look through non-rose-colored glasses. We will pick stuff apart. We'll break it down and see if it's even worth our time to look at.
And we've experienced plenty of our own strange things in our life, and it's definitely made me more skeptical on other parts of the subject, and you start, I guess, opening up a whole nother realm when you start being skeptical.
Right.
I think, than rather just believing everything that's come across the internet, come across in books and television, even on documented shows that you see, stuff's edited
Right.
for a reason.
Exactly.
It's to tell what they want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to really dig deep, do your homework, and investigate stuff like this on your own. You know, most of this stuff is a closed door.
Mm-hmm.
It's opening one door, and behind it is a closed one. So
Right. Right. It just like
so many layers.
Right. The onion effect. It's like cutting an onion in half, and you look at it and you see how many layers are there. Only the center really knows what's going on, and it grows from the inside out. It doesn't grow from the outside in. That wouldn't make sense. But that's pretty much the way it is in the intelligence community when it comes to UFOs and abduction phenomenon and all that other kind of stuff that comes along with ufology. So you guys are in for a real special treat when we bring Stan in, because this guy is the real deal. I am wholeheartedly convinced that he is.
He's just a nice guy.
He's a super nice guy too. He was going to be an Olympic athlete at one point in time too. He was going to be in the Olympics for bicycling.
Bicycling, right?
Yeah, he was going to be an Olympic cyclist. And here's another weird story about that. Check this out. So his team gets on board an airplane to go wherever it was, some training thing. He missed it. They all died in a plane crash. He was the only one not there. You know, I mean, I'm not going to get totally conspiracy theory on you. I am a conspiracy theorist, but not to not to an extent like most people would I guess cookie cutter detail themselves as. I'm skeptical of a lot of conspiracy theories, but the Stan Romanek conspiracy theory to me is not even a theory; it's conspiracy fact. It's totally different. So on that note, James, we need to talk a little about what they found in Chile in 2003. Now, it's called, those of you who are sitting in front of a computer, I strongly suggest you look this up, because this is a fantastic opportunity for you to open up your eyes and see what's going on in the world around you. Is the Atacama, Atacama, humanoid. Now, the research involved in this is courtesy of the Disclosure Project, who is headed by one Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer.
Which you can check out. You have the website?
I do not. If you just Google it or Bing it, you're going to find it.
Right. Well, you can go to www.seriousdisclosure.com, and he's got a whole site that you can buy the documentary, and it's got funding and that sort of thing. But, yeah.
Right. The research was performed by Stanford University scientists. So, you know, pretty substantial. Now, I'll tell you what they found. What they found was a small humanoid being, which was clearly bipedal, walking on two legs. It was 6 inches tall. Now, that is not, I didn't misspeak there. It was 6 inches tall. It was 6 inches tall, believed to be aged between 6 and 8 years. Okay? Now, the X-rays were done, CT scans were done, DNA analysis was done. They found that it did have human DNA, but not entirely. Now, that leads us back to the ancient alien theory of, cross-species hybridization experiments, were we planted, were we seeded here, were we created in this form, because, it was quite an evolutionary jump from where we were before to becoming Homo sapiens some 250,000 years ago, if you want to believe the history books and if they're all correct. Not. Right. Right. It's like we have to completely rewrite history and anthropology. I guarantee there's some anthropology doctors out there just scratching their heads going, man, I'm teaching this stuff that I don't even believe anymore. But it's in the textbooks, and I have to keep on dispensing this information to people. It's disinformation, and they know it, but it's kind of like they don't have all the answers either. So, this thing was 6 inches tall, folks. we're talking like this thing was 1.5 Coke cans tall, okay? That's pretty small. It lived 6 to 8 years. Therefore, it had to have been raised by something, right? It didn't just, hatch out of an egg. You look at pictures of this thing, it's got an enlarged, elongated cranium. It has 10 sets of ribs, which is unusual. And what they're doing for disinformation right now, this is how mainstream science, mainstream in parentheses, is explaining this phenomenon away, is they're saying that it was an aborted fetus. 6 to 8 years, fetus. Come again. Lanolin. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me, but it's a crazy picture. Yeah, James, hold it up to the camera so people can take a look at this. There it is. If you're on podcast and you're viewing right now, this is crazy. 6 to 8 years this thing lived. I doubt on its own. Now, begs the question. Born that way of a human mother? Don't know.
I looked up something from the Huffington Post in the UK, and it says the DNA strand proved that the mother was an indigenous Indian from the Chichilian area.
Right. Father, undetermined.
And that was a male.
Right, it is a male.
And it probably died in the last century.
So that's pretty recent, folks. When you're talking in geological terms, of course, that was yesterday.
Right.
So,
But he said it did not fall into any standard or rare classification of human disorders. Whatever it is, oh, let me find the quote here, sorry.
Weird. It can be explained, right?
Right. Oh, it's an aborted fetus that ran around for 6 to 8 years.
Whatever Ada was, he was not a hoax.
Right.
Is what the quote is.
Well, mainstream science can try to explain this away, but it ain't going to work. Something like this isn't going to live on its own for 6 to 8 years. I mean, a jackrabbit could have killed this thing, let alone coyotes, wolves, and whatnot. This here is proof undeniable that something is going on, genetically speaking. Now, if this were found and the remains were determined to be less than 5, 10, 15 years old, I would probably lean more towards a more conventional line of thinking, such as what they do at Montauk.
Right.
With these genealogy and crazy DNA experiments and cross hybridization. Then I could probably explain that, but I can't as at least 100 years old. So how did it get there? 100 years ago, we didn't have a cure for polio. Smallpox was still running around.
Yeah, so for it to live 6 or 8 years, I mean, even
Right.
today's technology.
Right. It was cared for. And it clearly was able to walk around on itself because the X-rays and the CT scans indicated a bone density that it would be able to support its own weight, walk around bipedally, and function properly as a humanoid would, regardless of the size.
Right.
So, I mean, that is just fascinating to me.
Well, I mean, there's so many things like this that are starting to creep their way into the mainstream that it's just a matter of time before the floodgates break and more information is going to come out to where it's going to change, society as, the views of religion, the views of science, all that stuff is definitely going to be put into question as far as education.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Rabbit Hole on KouvRadio.com, and we're discussing the 2003 discovery in Chile of the Atacama humanoid, referred to as Ada.
Atacama.
Lanolin.
Lanolin.
And it's pretty interesting stuff. I can't explain it. Mainstream science is certainly trying to explain it, but this is something that you have to really, think about this, people. This isn't just me making up a story. This is real. You've got a real reputable organization at Stanford University saying this stuff. This is not just John and James in the Rabbit Hole at KouvRadio.com saying, hey, look, they found an alien. This is science. This is data. This is scientific data.
Well, this has been backed by financiers.
From the private sector.
Stephen Greer's been putting a lot of time and effort, most of his life, into this subject and really pushing this stuff forward into the mainstream. And and you have the hearings in Washington. You know, this isn't just a joke.
No.
This is taken very seriously by a lot of people.
Right. This isn't conjecture or opinion. This is real scientific data. This is happening. This really happened, and this was within the past 100 years. So, what are we talking about here? I mean, are we looking at cross-species hybridization? And if we are, to what end?
Right. How far back does it go? Where does that put us?
Right. Right. I mean, I've said this time and time again, but I can't say it enough. It's important that people understand this, that you don't go from the Australopithecines, way pre-man. We're talking 3 million years, Lucy and that kind of things they found in Africa. Australopithecus afarensis, africanus, Cro-Magnon man, Homo habilis, Neanderthal, which isn't even related to us. It's kind of a distant cousin.
You said homo.
Whoa. So yeah, we're kind of goofy here in the
Sorry.
RabbitHole. But it's like, you have to look at this stuff. How do you go from where we were to where we are? The evolutionary leap defies even Darwinism. So it's one of those things you have to really look at, and you have to really think, man. Join us here on the RabbitHole every week, and we're going to make you think. Our job on this radio station is to provoke independent thought processes. That's what we're looking for. We don't want you to listen to mainstream media tell you what is real and what is not. You make up your own mind based on the data. That's the logical course of action in this case.
Well, you do realize it's going to be hard because the Kardashians are on at 9 o'clock at night.
I know it.
On Sundays. I'm just saying.
Right. Turn off
Lord Disick's on.
Kim and Chloe and get into reality, which you've been taught is not reality here on the RabbitHole on KouvRadio.com.
You get to see the Lord.
Right.
You gotta love Scott Disick. I mean, come on. The guy's a self-proclaimed billionaire who doesn't have $1 billion.
It doesn't matter when it's reality in parentheses TV.
He's a lord.
That's it, Lord. So anyways, people, I want you to look into that. And don't just listen to everything we say here and just take our word for it. We do a lot of research. James and I, above all else, are researchers, and that's what we do. This is our gig. This is how we live our lives day to day, and we look into this kind of thing. And we want you to think on your own, and we want you to do your own research. Let us guide you through it. We'll find the cool stuff. You research it yourself and come to your own conclusion. All we ask is that you listen and you open your mind.
And if you guys want to call, put your input in. 360-977-5483. That's 360-977-5483. Call us the RabbitHole.
Hey, give us a jingle. We want to talk
Jingle,
to you.
wingle, wingle.
We want to hear your stories. Doesn't matter what it's about. We don't limit ourselves here in the RabbitHole. We're not talking about just Bigfoot, UFOs, Loch Ness Monster, which I don't think either one of us are expert on that. But
well, we're not talking about building decks, but
right, exactly, porn foundations. We want to talk. We want to hear your weird experiences. Have you been out in the woods? You hear weird things you can't explain. Have you been in your house and felt like you weren't alone? I mean, anything. Give us a jingle and we'll talk about it a little bit because we kind of got bit by the Zach Bagans bug. I love that show, Ghost Adventures. I think it's a fantastic show.
Oh, it's at least it's great entertainment.
Right. Right, at the very least. I think there's a lot of conjecture and guessing going on, but this is somebody you have to respect because he gets out in the field and he gets dirty, he gets injured. The guy, he has to wear masks to protect himself from asbestos and stuff like that. And you got to take your hat off to the guy. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun show. We'll try to get those guys on here.
Right. I have a line on Nick. I might be able to get him here, Nick Groff. I'd love to talk to him. But, it's good stuff. It's thought-provoking. So, if you have a paranormal story, whether it's ghosts, Bigfoot, or any other unexplained creature, if you're on the East Coast, West Coast, doesn't matter. We're here. We're ready to go for you. So,
before you go off UFOs, can I jump in?
Go ahead, Wayne.
I was watching a show about 5 ways that the Earth will end, and one of them was alien invasion. And they had a clip, and I've been trying to find it here, but I can't find it. But maybe I just found it. No. Ronald Reagan, during the Cold War, asked Gorbachev, would we be fighting if we were being attacked by aliens, or would we team together?
He said that in the State of the Union address.
And Gorbachev said we would fight together.
Yeah. In fact, I can't quote him directly exactly, but what he said, what President Reagan said was, I wonder what we would do if faced with an alien threat, how quickly our differences would just dissolve.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And, that's very poignant. When you, and thought-provoking, if you hear an American president say that, shouldn't that give you pause? Shouldn't you think for a second, now, why would he say something like that?
Right.
Yeah, why would he? And looking here online, trying to find that quote, I guess he had a huge obsession with UFOs and the
He was
knowledge of
witness
that.
to one, as was President Carter. Jimmy Carter was witness to one.
And April 24th, U.S. warns Russia, aliens on their way, will be here in 2012.
Well, that's old news now, ain't it?
Yep.
That's kind of like, that falls in the old Planet X and Nibiru category, which I don't think is completely out of the question, because astronomers have found a weird anomaly, we'll call it, out there in our solar system, and there's a lot of conjecture out there right now that it may be Planet X. And if that's the case, we're going to have a really interesting
I
year
got a
coming
feeling that they probably picked up on the the cable show Honey Boo Boo and said, "All right, we're done. There's no evolving here."
That could be. No kidding. That's what I would do, I guess, if I was an alien race with seemingly omnipotent intelligence, that the ability of interstellar travel, and you come upon this planet and you start looking at the TV and radio and satellite waves and you see Honey Boo Boo on there. It's like, whoa! Right? I'd almost be tempted to hit the red button and just wipe the planet out.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need to go here and waste our resources. They'll take care of themselves in a couple years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These folks are a lost cause.
And that's one of the things they said. If we were attacked by aliens, the only thing we could do is to do a style warfare or something like that, much like Vietnam did to us. Just you can't beat us, but you know what? You're not gonna shoot us down.
Unconventional warfare, guerrilla tactics, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So we just have to start making homemade bombs, and
I think they're smarter than that.
You know what I'd do? I'd go get me a wooden stick with a big nail in it.
start whacking.
They wouldn't expect that.
Or water balloons. I mean, isn't science the water?
Right.
Yeah. Well, they said one of the things that would probably happen is they would capture the humans and take samples of them so they could figure out a biological disease.
Haven't they been doing
They've
that?
known that for a long time, brother.
Yeah.
In fact,
I'm like, why do you have to say that? They know now.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we're scared of.
You let the cat out of the bag.
Cat's out of the bag. I mean, they. I think, in fact, I'm getting further and further into the rabbit hole, thinking that we were seated here, and more or less. You know, and not to say, you know, this is not a religious program. I just want to put that out there right now. My own personal opinion is, yeah, I believe in God, absolutely. I do believe in a creator. I don't know if I necessarily believe in conventional, the thought process behind a religion, but I do believe in a creator. But it doesn't mean that, you know, there's other intelligent beings out there who can create races on their own. We're able to do it. We're able to grow ears on the back of laboratory mice, human ears. You know, who's to say? You know, we're relatively young in this galaxy. We're relatively young. We're newcomers, man. You know, if we don't blow ourselves up, where will we be technologically in a million years?
All right, well, look at the advanced robotics out there. I mean, they're trying to be able to take your soul, if you call it that, however you believe your internal energy is, and transport it into some sort of body or another capsule and live forever. You know, basically you're just downloading your personal information and putting it into another avatar, if you
Right.
will.
Now, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, and you know how I feel about that, too. I kind of feel like, I don't know, I mean, it's almost like I'm throwing up the card, hey, wait a second, I have my get out of jail free card. What I truly believe, I think that our souls are off limits. I think only God can take care of that. Again, this is not a religious program, people. Please don't tune out. I'm not trying to run you off or nothing. I'm not trying to impose my will upon you. But I just personally, my opinion is that our souls are off limits. I think that is for the Creator only. I think that goes way beyond technology. I don't think there is a device that could ever be created that could capture the soul or essence of a spirit. But, and let's hope I'm right, because if I'm wrong, God help
trouble.
us. Yeah, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, I think I think we'll see a definite artificial intelligence come out before we see that sort of thing used in. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the bugs are going to be worked out in that within our lifetime on something like that, if it is capable.
Right. And even if it was an alien intelligence that had, like I said, 1 million years on us. I mean, let's think about it here, folks, listeners. Think about this. We went from the Wright brothers to stealth technology in less than a century.
Right.
Where will we be in 1 million years? I mean, that if a race doesn't, isn't compelled to destroy itself, that is.
Yeah.
Because
well, just think in 1,000 years, where will we be?
Right. Another 100 years.
Right.
We may be vacationing on Mars with Arnold. Doing that. What was that movie, guys?
Total Recall.
Total Recall, the original. Right.
I just remember the three breaths, sorry.
Oh, that was good stuff. Which one do I pick?
Perfect for 15-year-olds.
Right.
They're planning a flight to Mars. I can't remember if it's China or one of the Asian countries anyway. And basically, it's a no-return flight.
One way.
So they're looking for
It's
volunteers.
going to be for the first colonists, no matter what. It's going to be a one-way flight.
Yeah. So
You're committed at that point, Jack.
Yeah, you're not coming back.
No. Good luck. Hope everything works out. Hope you can grow food and create breathable air.
Exactly.
Let us know how that goes.
Well, and last week after the show, we found that video of the rabbit on Mars. Remember I showed you that? It looked like
And
a
the
rabbit.
duck?
Or the duck.
Yeah, it was a duck. I said it looked kind of like a
You
rabbit.
said it
That
looked
probably
like a
stuck in your head.
I
Yeah.
think it looked like a rock.
It looked
a petrified duck.
It did look like a duck. Like when you see a duck floating around in the water and it turns its head completely around and is itching its
Like
back
it-
or getting in between
or
its
it's gonna
wings,
sleep
it's
or-
preening or something.
Mm-hmm.
That it really did look like that.
Clouds. So it reminds me of when they see pictures on Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you
Clouds.
see what you want to see.
Right.
Isn't it funny, folks, that we hear in 1976 the Viking spacecraft captured pictures of what appeared to be a face on Mars. And then, I don't know, 30 years later, they put up images saying, oh, here it is again, and look, it's clearly not a face. How come we don't send the rovers over there and take a final look and put it to bed?
Right.
If those aren't pyramids...
I think that there is some definite structures there.
Absolutely.
I totally buy into that. And but I've seen pictures where there's a picture of an alien on Mars, and to me it just looks like a rock.
Yeah. Right. But think about the Viking images though. I mean, that was real, dude. The chances, because like they say in nature, there are no right angles.
Right.
So this thing had a brow line, it had eye sockets, it had clearly a nose, it had a mouth, chin, its cheekbones.
Right.
It's
very compelling.
Oh, incredibly. And right next to it, which the structures off to its right, upper right, I believe, there are what appear to be 3 pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a pyramid structure in nature either.
What do they call that? Cyprus? The city?
Sedonus?
Sedona? Is that what they call it?
Sedona?
Sedona? I don't remember.
No, here, we're experts here at the RabbitHole.
That's right.
We don't pull any punches.
We're learned.
We're You're in a house of learned doctors.
Learned doctors.
But yeah, we jest. But seriously, there appear to be, and if you look at the structure of them, you could almost take them and copy them and put them directly over the Great Pyramid and the other two adjacent pyramids, and they line up almost exactly. And I believe they mimic the Orion's belt, constellation. So very compelling.
Now, is that the one on the cat in Men in Black, or?
I don't even remember that movie. All I remember that movie is some lady, the alien lady, giving birth, and she had tentacles, and she was slamming Will Smith up and down in the car.
Right. The squid.
Yeah.
Squid-looking thing.
The squid, Billy. So, well, we're going to take another quick break here. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Rabbit Hole with John Fogel and James Sweet, KouvRadio.com. And stay with us, man. We want to give you some more stuff.
We're going to talk your ear off.
That's right. Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole, folks.
Welcome back.
Hope you enjoyed the music there. That was my bro there, James Sweet, on that last song there, When the World Is Over. Fantastic tune, I think.
Thank
Makes
you.
me feel like
Thank
an
you.
amateur. So, we were talking a little bit about ufology. We talked a little bit about you guys giving us a call here at 360-977-5483, 360-977-LIVE, and disappointingly, we haven't heard from anybody yet.
Yeah, if someone wants to call in and suggest a topic or bring up something, I don't know, Bigfoot or anything like that, I bet these guys can rant on it for a little bit.
Speaking of Bigfoot,
Yes,
so
sir.
you are
There
the
we go.
you are the Bigfoot guy.
Well, you know what? Actually, I want to give props and a thanks to Kenny. I call him Bigfoot Kenny. But he's
Yeah.
out here at KouvRadio. He runs the Edge of Normal Paranormal show here at KouvRadio, and you'll find his show on Mondays from 7 to 9. You know, give him a listen, man. He's pretty good. I liked, I appreciated the fact that he let me come in and sit on the show a number of times, and we got to banter back and forth about some stuff, and he's a pretty knowledgeable cat on the Bigfoot phenomenon, which is what I want to bring up too, because I'm kind of a crypto freak. I love that stuff. I'm big into the Bigfoot, and it's hard not to be growing up in the Pacific Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're in Bigfoot's backyard. So it's-
I mean, almost any town you go into, you can find a Bigfoot to get your picture next to.
Pretty
right.
much.
Yeah, they're like Douglas firs.
I almost stopped for you last week. There was, I believe it was called Bigfoot Cafe in Seaside, Oregon.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And they had all these wood-carved Bigfoots all over the place.
Bigfoots, yeah.
Awesome.
So I was like, I wish I wasn't running late. But next time I'll get one for you.
So amidst my research on the Bigfoot phenomenon, I'm always looking for the new stuff out there. You know, something. What's the hot topic? What's shaking out there? And what are people talking about? And I stumbled upon something that was total luck. I had no idea that this footage was taken in Estacada, Oregon. And so basically, it's just a possible sighting with footage in Estacada, Oregon. So there's this kid, and he's got a YouTube channel, and he's just kind of chilling, and he's got his camera out, and he's like, I built this ramp. He's a downhill mountain bike rider. He likes to go get all crazy off-road on his mountain bike and stuff, so he built this little ramp thing. And he's basically just kind of giving you a look of what he did, checking out his work. He's like, yeah, it's really sturdy, it looks good, feels good, it's real, put a lot of time into this, or blah, 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 and all of a sudden he looks up, he pans up with his camera, and he goes, what was that? And he's looking off to the right, and you see something out there, and it looks large, it's bipedal, and dark, and wide, very wide. So he's like, what is this? Now, this is where John's BS alarm started going off a little bit, because you have to take this stuff with a grain of salt. You have to be very skeptical when reviewing this type of material. He says, and now don't quote me, you can look it up yourself. I can't give it.
I'm going to take a look at this now.
Yeah, take a look at it. And what he does is he says, so is this that Bigfoot? Is this that Bigfoot? And he's looking at it, and he starts kind of chasing it. He starts kind of chasing it, and he loses sight of it, and he's talking casually. Now, I want to think that if you're he sounds like a young boy. Now, I'm thinking 17, 18 years old. If you're 17, 18 years old and you think you see a Bigfoot, the first thing you're going to do is void your bowels. You're going to be like, is that a... you're not going to be like, is that one of those Bigfoots? And then he starts to chase it. But the compelling part of this footage, to me, is the fact that he never got a really good angle on it. He pursued it. He went to go after it, but he did not see it again. So it's one of those things where you got to look at it for what it is. Some people, under duress, can handle themselves quite well.
And where did he see that?
This is in Estacada. In Estacada, Oregon. I mean, it's a large bipedal creature. I mean, it's definitely something big and wide. But, I can't say it wasn't somebody in a dark gorilla suit or something like that.
Well, I mean, the footage is so vague. All you see is a dark shadow.
It is, but it looks large.
Yeah, it looks
It's
large.
definitely walking on 2 feet. That's why, like I said, the BS alarm was kind of going off. But sometimes the best footage is, or good footage. The best footage is the Patterson-Gimlin footage. I mean, that is, by and large, the holy grail. If you guys want to see a real Bigfoot, and don't let anybody tell you any different, if you want to see a real Bigfoot, look up the Patterson-Gimlin footage from 1967, Bluff Creek, California, Northern California. That That, my friends, is a Bigfoot. You are looking at a specimen, a female specimen Bigfoot. Look it up. Check it out. It's world famous. If you haven't seen it, look it up. If you've seen it, look at it again. Slow it down. Look at it frame by frame. It's fantastic.
Have you heard of OregonBigfoot.com?
Yes.
They've got a complete database. Well, it's not complete because the one you were talking about isn't on here, but a database of sightings, and you can do it by county in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
There's 142 records in Clackamas County.
Well, one of the strange things that I encountered today and during my research was, or actually earlier in the week, was the amount of intel that comes out of Umatilla, the Umatilla Indian tribe.
Mm.
Eastern Oregon, people equate that with desert, and it really is by and large. It's barren, kind of Marsy almost, with some grass. But there is some forested regions out there. And what's happening right now is the Indian Reservation of Umatilla, people have been woken, this is very recent by the way, folks, they've been woken up by strange noises coming from the forest. Noises described as a roaring, screeching like none they have ever heard before. Last month it began in earnest. So we got to think about this for a second. I've spent a lot of time in the woods. I've spent a lot of time researching this. I've been out in the field to research this kind of thing, and I have been fooled many times, not by people, but by natural inhabitants of the forest that we are familiar with. Foxes, coyotes. Coyotes have a very wide range of vocalizations.
What about the were-squatch?
Where? Yeah, right. The were-squatch.
Well,
That's almost like spelling rabbit hole with a W.
We'll know more about that on 8/21, right?
You would have to ask
Box's Metal Show.
Yeah. I think that's the name of a band. I think is what that is.
Who knows?
Maybe it's a real were-squatch.
Yeah, maybe.
I want in on the interview. That's mine.
Okay.
So, anyways, interesting stuff. Like I said, vocalizations coming from animals. There's a wide variance. An owl doesn't just say "whoo." A rooster.
What?
Exactly. A rooster doesn't just cluck and do the the morning. What is it? Reveille.
Yeah.
It doesn't really go like that. Just like human beings, look at how much we can say and do. We can do a lot of different stuff. Apes, great apes, other hominids can make a great range of vocalizations. Coyotes are no different. Even though it's a canid, they do the same thing. So I've been fooled before.
Sorry.
Yes.
Jackson County, Oregon added spring 2013. The report was just put up 7/31. Group found a possible Bigfoot kill while out on an evening investigation. That's Jackson County, Oregon.
It's Northwest is a happening place for the Squatch.
Absolutely.
For the Squatchatonian.
Right, all the way up through British Columbia and up into southern and southeastern Alaska.
I smell Squatch.
Right.
So this was near Worthington Road, Eagle Point, Brownsboro Highway at Eagle Point, Jackson County, Oregon.
We're gonna have to get a Bigfoot guest on. We're gonna have to get some.
We're gonna have to go out here. I mean, we got the address.
Well, I've actually
we should do a night run.
Oh, absolutely. But I've got a lead on a really good interview with a guy who was just hanging out with Dr. Jeff Meldrum just very recently when he was here in town. And those of you who don't know who Dr. Jeff Meldrum is, this guy is the world authority on Sasquatch and Bigfoot phenomenon. He was handed down, he was given the keys to the car, if you will, from the late, great Dr. Grover Krantz from the University of Washington Anthropology Department. And this guy, Jeff Meldrum, is a fantastic investigator. Very nuts and bolts. He doesn't speculate.
So aside from the speculation,
mm-hmm.
I know the nuts and bolts thing, but I mean, there's a lot of cases where there's UFO activity around Bigfoot sightings. So what? I mean, I don't know. There's.
Ladies and gentlemen, James brings this up because he knows I hate it. Just so you know. He knows I
agree with it, though.
Right, I do too. I can't close my eyes to it because like I last week's show I brought up Linda Moulton Howell's instance where that Montana hunter took a shot at it, and then there was a bright flash of light. It disappeared, and shortly after, a disc-shaped object was seen in the vicinity.
Yeah.
I can't discount it. I can't. I mean, I just can't. It would also account somewhat. I can explain this. I'll get further into detail in a minute. But why we don't find bodies, bones, jaws, teeth, anything like that. Well, what I'll touch
Habitats.
up on. Well, habitat is everywhere, and it also could be subterranean. I think there's a great tunnel system, subterranean. You know,
I mean, caves.
We're in the Pacific Northwest. This is like we're in the ring of fire for volcanic activity. So there's a lot of caves, unexplored caves.
The ape caves.
Sure. Why are they called the ape caves? Hey, babies. That is why they're called the ape caves, because there's been so many sightings. So it's one of those things. Now let's think about this for a second, people. You have something with a large cranial capacity. Now it's got at least 1,800 cc cranial capacity. That's a pretty big brain, and these things are intelligent. They're thinking. They're feeling. Are you going to leave your dead behind so that the humans who seem to have their tentacles in everything find one of your own? You're probably going to find a way to dispose of the body, or bury it. You're going to bury the body. I've spent countless hours out in the field and in the woods, and I have never found a dead coyote, a dead bear, a dead wolf. I've found a couple of deer carcasses. I've never found a dead cougar. I know they exist. I've seen them alive, but I have not found a carcass. Now, you're in the Pacific Northwest, where we're basically a temperate rainforest. You've got a lot of vegetation. You've got high acidity levels in the soil, so it gets rid of bones and flesh really super fast. Not to mention predation. The carrion eaters, they'll come along and they'll spread the bones around or bury them or eat them, whatever. I can kind of explain that away. But on the UFO part, that would kind of make sense. If there was an extraterrestrial presence behind the Bigfoot phenomenon, it would kind of make sense that that's another thing that they do, is they get rid of the evidence, if you will.
I'm shocked I'm getting a phone call.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it works down here.
No, it's
That's an alarm?
It's my alarm.
Oh. That's what that sounded like Fred Flintstone when he goes up to
Twinkle Toes.
Right.
Twinkle toes to bowl.
Twinkle Toes Flintstone.
It's going bowling. So, if any of you people out there listening have ever had a Bigfoot experience, or you know anybody who's had a Bigfoot experience, give us a call. If it's second information, that's fine. 360-977-LIVE. 360-977-5483. Give us a call. Let's talk about it.
Well, also, too, you're talking about intelligence. There's recordings of Bigfoot and their sounds that they make, and they've analyzed this, and it sounds like a language. They've done...
Yeah, right. Bigfoot Kenny and I have talked about this on his show, actually, and they call it the samurai talk. It sounds Japanese. There's a weird, it's like some weird dialect that sounds Japanese. If you're going to put a language footnote to it, that's what it would sound like. There's been reports of these guys on army operations, active army operations in the Pacific Northwest, where they heard, they thought that there were other guys from their unit who were off, on the wrong grid coordinates, because they weren't supposed to get any activity through there, and they were looking at their maps, and they're sitting there talking to each other like, who the hell is this? Is this, Company Bravo? Who's out here? And they were like, well, nobody should be out here. They took a closer look, and they saw 3 large bipedal hairy people, and they couldn't quite explain it, and they were massive. They were massive. So these guys were, filling drawers up going, this doesn't make any sense at all. They couldn't make any sense of it. But they had this weird dialect. And I've heard some of this before. I wish I had a soundbite to play for you. But it's very interesting. You can look it up yourself on YouTube.
Probably pull it up.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear some of that stuff, because it's compelling. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. They're just like, I would love to improvise and try to do it for you, but there's no way. That'd be an epic failure. It is a trip. But they do seem to communicate with each other in more ways than just, grunts and groans, how we equate, great apes communicating with each other.
We'll have to record some sound bites.
I got some here.
Yeah, here we go, folks. Listen up. That's not the one I've ever heard. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one before.
I believe we're hearing tree knocks there.
That first one, you could almost detect words.
Yeah,
Right.
It did sound like there was a language going on there.
Right. I wish we had the samurai footage, but anyways, you guys get a good idea what I'm talking about here. Here it is.
You shouldn't talk to this.
If that doesn't sound great ape, I don't know what does.
This was from 1974.
That there, what you just heard there, was one of the researchers calling to them.
Like laughing at it.
That sounds like someone talking.
It sounded very Japanese.
Right. So here's another thing we need to talk about here is behavior, animal behavior. Now, when you have a great ape in its natural environment, when you see you'll see this on videos. People walk into their environment in the Congo, say, and you see the silverback, who is the dominant male of the group. He will go along and he'll make a display to let you know he's the alpha male. What he does is he runs around, he beats his chest, he vocalizes, and he also does a lot of breaking of things. A bamboo, he'll break tree limbs off. These are the same display behaviors that we hear out here in the Pacific Northwest. It happens. And I will tell you this, I have never seen a Bigfoot myself, but I know that I have been around them. I know for a fact I have. I have heard vocalizations, and I've heard this whooping sound. I can't really, I'll try. It's kind of a but it's coming from a massive chest cavity. It sounds like something that would come out of like something the size of a cow.
You want it deeper.
Whoa, it's way deeper than that. And I've also heard a lot of tree knocks. See, that to me sounds like a cow or something. Yeah, we heard that one earlier. That, I believe, is tree knocking, and that's another thing that I have definitely heard out in an investigation. It was about 20 years ago, and believe it or not, this was in the gorge, and not very deep into the gorge either. We would park our vehicle right there by Bridal Veil Falls, and we'd hike in, but we'd go way, backcountry. We'd end up getting off trail and bushwhacking. We're way off the switchbacks. And I heard vocalizations, and I heard tree knocks. And I also...
Which is pretty prevalent in a lot of sightings, the tree knocking.
Sure it is. It's definitely a communication. So I don't know if they are so advanced that they have a specific tree knock that means something. 2 knocks means this, 1 knock means that, 1 loud, 1
kind of like dolphins talking.
Right, it could be. There's definitely some kind of acoustic quality to it that has meaning to them. But that's the extent of my experience with them in the field. Was I definitely heard some tree knocks and some whoops, and it was frightening. And another thing that you hear about, and this kind of touches up on the UFO thing maybe also, is you get this overwhelming sense of fear, and it's not. This kind of goes to the skinwalker thing too. James knows what I'm talking about. We'll get into that another time. But you get the sense of danger. Now, there are no recorded attacks from a Sasquatch, no one that I know of, or if they are, they're very super rare, or maybe even deserved. But it doesn't really happen. But you get this weird feeling, your hair stands up, you feel like you're in mortal danger. And you could be totally calm a second before.
When I was talking last week about the Paranormal Witness show, that the Wolf Pack.
I watched it.
He even, he grabs his wife, and he just said he had this overwhelming fear come over him, and he ran into the house. And he didn't see anything; he just sensed it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, and watching that show, I never recalled them saying once that it ever looked like a wolf.
I know exactly where you're going with this. You're right. You're right. But
you need to back up for the listeners.
But we will. But
okay.
it flies in the face for me as a researcher on cryptozoology. It flies in the face of reason if we say maybe it was a Bigfoot. And the reason I say that is because you'll never see them in large groups. You'll never see more than one. And for them to congregate in somebody's front yard in a really rural area or not, if it's very rural, it doesn't matter. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see a group. They won't allow it. They just won't. They won't jeopardize themselves and put themselves in harm's way. They seem to know. But there is something there. I don't know if it's an olfactory sense that we don't get, smell, if it's a smell that humans are able to pick up on, and it was something that they evolved to create some smell. But I will tell you this. I was shitting in my drawers. I was scared to death. I wanted to get out of there. And the thing is, I wasn't in the middle of a research expedition. I was hiking with friends. And all of a sudden, we were surrounded. We were in this little deep gully, and we started hearing tree knocks. That was the first thing we started hearing. I was like, man, that's weird. So I started tree knocking back. I got it. My friends who were with me were just kind of like unlucky. I was already into this stuff, but they were just kind of like, what
unlucky.
Right. They were like, what are you doing? I was like, just be quiet and listen. And I started tree knocking, and we started getting responses, and then we started hearing the whoops. And only then was it when I was like, we got to get out of here. We went from a moderate pace of getting out of there to full-on panic, hyperventilation, where we had to stop. A buddy who I was with, Sean, completely hyperventilated. If we had a paper bag, he would have been breathing into that sucker. He was absolutely panic-stricken. I was too, but I was able to.
Did you feel like
maintain.
it was following?
Oh, it definitely was, because we were hearing snapping noises. They were not. If a Bigfoot wants to sneak around you, he's gonna. He or she's gonna. If you hear a snap, and especially if it's a big snap or a big break of a limb, it's intentional. Get the hell out of here. This is not for you. You need to go away. And I cannot express to you, listeners, the level of fear you will experience during this. It's primal.
Right.
It's absolutely primal, bone-chilling.
Wow.
So that being said, I hope nobody got that feeling from us playing the recording.
Well, I got one if they want to get that feeling. I got a recording.
Well, we gotta take a quick little break here. My man James has got a
checking out.
Yeah, he's got a meeting with President Obama he's got to get to. So.
Nice. Well, I'll play this real quick, and then you can kick in the music. This is a 1990 Kitsap Peninsula, Washington 911 call.
This is good stuff. Listen up, folks.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
I can't tell. All I know is that my central light came on, and I just happened to glimpse and see this thing running across the yard. A good-sized man, or something looks like a man. I don't know what it was. Just it ran across the yard.
Okay. You've had problems in the neighborhood before?
Yeah, my dog was killed here just recently. I don't know what it was. Whatever it is, it's running. I couldn't catch it if I was going to chase it. So whatever it was standing up. I'm out here looking through the window now, and I don't see anything. I don't want to go outside. Jesus Christ, you better...
Sure.
Deal!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Oh, and the guy is on foot.
I don't know what... It's a big, real big person. That's all I can say.
Okay, but it is a person.
Yeah, I'd say it was a person, somebody really big. But he's all in black.
Is he a black male or a white male? Did you actually see whether, or was he just wearing black?
He's all black, and he's big. He is big.
Welcome back, everyone. John Fogel here at the RabbitHole, KouvRadio.com. And gonna miss my bro.
Yeah, you know, but I think there's something that we should do.
What's that?
We should have the first caller for your show. Someone needs to call in.
Well, it'd be the second, technically.
Did someone call in the first week?
Yeah.
I don't
remember we had the call about the
sighting. Oh, the sighting on the freeway.
Vancouver. Right.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, we definitely need some folks to call. So those of you who are listening, spread the word. Spread the word. We need people to call. In fact, you should call just to talk, if nothing else. I mean, I don't care if you want to talk about the grass growing at this point. We're about ready to wrap up here pretty soon, but
definitely.
Before we do, there was another video that I found in Oregon, in the same area that in Umatilla there in Eastern Oregon, that this guy's outside with his boys, and they're just shooting hoops on this lowered basketball hoop, and they're just kind of dunking it and whatnot, you know, dinking around. And the dad, he's filming, he says, "Man, what is that? What is that?" And they zoom in, and they show this bipedal, hairy creature walking across this field, and he goes, "Well, we should walk after it. Let's go look at it. Is that a Bigfoot?" You know? So they start walking that direction. It banks left, and it goes into the tree line. Again, I don't know if that's legit vid. I don't know if it's a man in a suit. I don't know, but it's pretty compelling because the video 3 minutes prior to that was pretty lame. It was just kind of like this guy showing his kids missed basketball shots, basically, is all it was. You know, it wasn't very extravagant. It wasn't a good lead if it was a hoax.
I found Bigfoot basketball in... Shoot, I lost it. Arizona. It's actually a league. And they use Bigfoot
basketball.
Yeah, they have guys dress up as Bigfoot and play basketball.
Well, that's another thing that might surprise some of you out there in listener land is you'd be shocked at how many sightings are in the American Southwest. And there are a lot. Not only are there sightings, but there is actual documentation, if you want to call it that, and not cave paintings or anything, but on rock formations. They'll the indigenous folks from centuries ago would scrape in pictures of big feet, large, hairy, bipedal creatures standing next to what would be contrived to be a normal human being. They've got broad shoulders, clearly lots of hair covering the entire body, big hands, big feet. Very interesting stuff. You'll find them in the same places. You'll find a lot of these spiral images that are also kind of in the UFO realm. You'll see these spiral pictures, which eerily resemble what happened in Norway. Remember when Obama was going to accept his Nobel Peace Prize, and they had that big spiral up in the air? They tried to say it was a failed missile launch by the Russians.
Yeah.
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 But it very closely resembles that. So, interesting stuff. Well, on behalf of James Sweet and myself, John Fogel here, we again appreciate your time spent with us here at the RabbitHole, KouvRadio.com. And like I said from the beginning of the show, this show is dedicated to Del Alloway, who passed away just yesterday. And here at KouvRadio, we
just want to say, you know, we have the deepest sympathies for the family, and we hope he makes a his speedy way there into the great beyond and eternal bliss. So thanks for listening to the Rabbit Hole, and make sure you tell your friends about us. We want your help here, and keep us floating.
Definitely.
Because we want to keep spreading the word to y'all. So
and your listenership is what keeps us floating.
That's right.
You know, we want to know that you're interested, and do call in, you know.
Right.
Do some research. Tell us about something you heard.
You are the ultimate cog in the wheel. That is the Rabbit Hole at KouvRadio here. So we will see you next Sunday, 10 o'clock Pacific Time, KouvRadio here at the Rabbit Hole.
Thanks for listening.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I showed you how deep the rabbit hole is.
It's the question that brought me.
You stay in Wonderland.
It's the question that
And I
brought me.
showed you how deep the rabbit hole is.